Have you ever really stopped to think about how a giant redwood tree, a massive blue whale, and, well, you are all connected? Today, we're going to go on an incredible journey. We're starting with the tiniest, invisible building blocks of life and zooming all the way out to the huge kingdoms that classify every living thing on our planet.
But to really get a grip on that huge tree of life, we have to start small. We have to start with you. And I don't mean your skin or your bones. I mean, what are you made of at the most basic, fundamental level? To find that out, we need to shrink ourselves way, way down. And that brings us right here, to the very building blocks of life itself. The answer to that big question? Well, it lies with the one thing that all living organisms have in common. Yep, the answer is the cell. Every single living thing you can possibly imagine, from a little blade of grass to a whale, is built from these tiny, tiny units. They are the true, honest-to-goodness building blocks of all life. But here's the thing, we didn't figure this all out overnight, not even close. This was a journey that took hundreds of years. It all started back in 1665 when Robert Hooke first spotted these little empty rooms in a piece of cork. Just a few years later, Van Leeuwenhoek became the first person to ever see living cells squirming around. That kicked off this incredible chain reaction of discovery, from finding the cell's command center, the nucleus, all the way to that game-changing moment in 1953 when Watson and Crick figured out the double helix shape of DNA, the actual blueprint for life itself. Now, across all of life, these building blocks come in two main models. On one hand, you've got the simple and efficient prokaryotic cell. Like bacteria, super basic, no nucleus, its DNA just kind of floats around. But on the other hand, you have the much more complex eukaryotic cell. This is the type that builds plants, fungi, and us. And its signature feature is that special compartment, the nucleus, that keeps its precious genetic materials safe. And a eukaryotic cell? Wow, it's like a tiny, bustling city. It's full of these little structures called organelles, and each one has a very specific job. You've got the nucleus, which is like the city hall or the brain, running the whole show. The mitochondria, those are the powerhouses, the power plants of the cell, cranking out energy. And then you have things like lysosomes, which are the cleanup crew, taking care of all the waste. It is just an amazingly organized little system. Okay, so if cells are the individual bricks, how does biology actually build a house with them? Let's zoom out a little and see how life starts putting these fundamental pieces together to make the stuff we can actually see.
It all works on a kind of ladder, a hierarchy. It starts with those individual cells, right? And they start to specialize. Then, these specialized cells team up to create tissues. Different tissues then get together to build organs, like your heart or your brain, each with a very specific job. And finally, those organs work together in organ systems to keep the whole organism, you, up and running.
But what's really cool is that plants and animals put themselves together very differently depending on what they need to do. Plant tissues are all about structure and transport. Think about the woody parts of a stem that act like pipes to pull water up. Animal tissues, though, were all about movement and talking to each other, powered by our muscles and nerves.
And in us animals, all that specialization boils down to four main types of tissue. You've got epithelial tissue, which is our covering, like your skin, protecting us. Then there's connective tissue, which is everything from your bones to your blood. It supports you and holds everything together. Muscular tissue, well, that one's obvious, it lets us move. And finally, nervous tissue is like our body's wiring, sending signals everywhere, instantly. Pretty much every part of you is a complex mix of these four basic types.
So we have our specialized tissues, but they don't just exist on their own, right? How do they all work together? Let's zoom out one more level to see how they form the body's incredible master systems.
Let's just take digestion, for example. That's not just one organ's job, no way. It's an entire, perfectly coordinated system. The whole journey starts in your mouth, then it heads down to the stomach for some serious chemical breakdown. From there, it's into the small intestine where you absorb all the good stuff, the nutrients. And finally, the large intestine grabs the last bit of water. Every step is perfectly timed. It's amazing teamwork between organs.
And the circulatory system is another fantastic example. I love this analogy. Just think of it as the body's own highway system. The arteries are like the big freeways carrying fresh, oxygen-rich blood away from the heart, like delivery trucks leaving the warehouse. And the veins? They're the return roads, bringing it all back. It's this constant, vital loop that keeps every single cell in business.
But hang on a second. What tells all these cells and tissues and systems what they're supposed to be doing? Where's the instruction manual for all this? Well, that brings us to the blueprint for life itself.
Get this. Tucked away inside the nucleus of almost every single one of your cells is the entire instruction book for how to build and run you. And it's all organized into this one critical number, 23 pairs.
In these pairs, they're called chromosomes. Each one is a super tightly coiled thread of DNA, that famous molecule that holds all of our genetic info. They are, quite literally, the master blueprints that decide everything from the color of your eyes to how your heart should beat.
Now, for life to grow and continue, that genetic code has to be copied. And the body has two main ways of doing this. On one side, you've got mitosis. This is for growth and repair. It's like a biological copy machine. One division makes two perfectly identical cells. But then you have meiosis. This is for reproduction. It's a special two-step process that actually shuffles the genetic deck to create totally unique sex cells. It's what ensures there's variety in the next generation. Okay, let's take a breath. We've seen the building blocks, we've seen how they're assembled, and we've seen the blueprint that directs it all. Now, for our last section, let's zoom all the way out and just admire the absolutely breathtaking result of all this biology in action.
So all life on Earth, every single bit of it, built from these same basic cellular parts, can be sorted into 5 huge groups, or kingdoms. You have the simple, single-celled stuff in Monera, like bacteria. Then the super diverse, often watery world of the Protista. You've got fungi, like mushrooms, the green world of Plantae, the plants, and finally our own club, Animalia.
And the diversity inside just one of these kingdoms is absolutely mind-blowing. Let's just take the animal kingdom. It's not just lions and tigers, it includes everything from the simplest sponges all the way to its most massive group by far, the phylum Arthropoda. We're talking about all the insects, spiders, and crabs in the world. They outnumber everybody else, hands down.
And this right here is the central, most amazing idea of it all. It doesn't matter if it's a single bacterium or a massive, sprawling forest. Everything that's alive is put together using the same fundamental parts. It all runs on the same basic set of genetic rules.
It's just an incredible thought, isn't it? A single, ancient blueprint has given us this seemingly endless, beautiful variety of life. It really makes you stop and wonder, what amazing forms will life take next?